meeting of the Mobile City Planning Commission, I would like to take a moment to review our general operating procedures. Our meeting is divided into two sessions, the public hearing session and the deliberation session. In the public hearing session, an application or group application on the agenda is called. The applicant makes his or her presentation. Commission members ask questions, if any, and members of the public make their comments. Only 4 people may speak for an agenda item and 4 against. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes, subject to questions by the commission. After 4 minutes, a speaker will hear a loud beep indicating 1 minute left to speak, and at that point, please summarize your comments. After all opposition speakers have finished, the applicant will be given time to respond. If you do intend to speak, please come to the podium at the base of the stairs, give your name and address for our minutes. Please direct all comments to the commission only and not to the applicant or the audience, and please remember to speak directly into the microphone. On routine applications, an applicant may simply raise his or her hand if there are no objections to the staff recommendations. I will then announce that the applicant is in full agreement with those recommendations, and if there are any questions, the applicant will be given an opportunity to respond. After hearing all applications, the commission will then go into the deliberation session where we discuss each application with input from the staff as necessary, but with no input from the audience. Commissioners then vote on each application, and the results of the voting can be learned from the planning department. If some issues arise in that session that were not addressed in the public hearing, the chairman has the discretion to either allow additional comments pertaining to those issues or call for the application to be held over for discussion at a future meeting. Occasionally, 1 or more commission members may recuse themselves for discussing and voting on a given application. That does not mean that the member is directly involved with the application or the applicant, but depending upon the circumstances, ethical rules may require a recusal where there is only the slightest appearance of a conflict of interest. Planning Commission makes final decisions subject to appeal on subdivisions, planning approvals, and plan unit developments, or PUDs, and that the Planning Commission only makes recommendations on zoning applications, with the City Council making those final decisions. At this time, please turn your cell phones to silent, vibrate, or off. Commissioners and staff, please remember to turn on your microphones when speaking. We'll roll call. Myself, Jay Stubbs, present. Mr. Alan Cameron, Ms. Jennifer Denson, Mr. Carlos Gant.
Here.
Ms. Shirley Sessions.
Here.
Mr. Taylor Atchison, Mr. Matt Anderson, Mr. Nick Amberger.
Here.
Mr. Scott Jones, Ms. Susan Carley, Mr. Kirk Matei. We have a quorum, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for December 1st.
So moved.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. New subdivision applications. Agenda item number 1, 350 North Lawrence Street, Detente Point subdivision. Recommended for tentative approval, subject to 10 listed conditions. Is the applicant present?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if
ma'am.
I may, there is an active easement on the property, and it is no longer proposed to be vacated, so staff would recommend striking condition number 5.
Duly noted. Condition number 5. Again, it is recommended for tentative approval with striking condition 5, now listed 9 conditions. Is the applicant present? Yes, sir.
Yes, the only other...
Your name and address for the record, please.
I'm sorry, Mark Wattier with Wattier Surveying. I'm the surveyor for the project. The only other thing we might like to try to settle is the condition number 1, dealing with the dedication of the corner radius. It's, the condition says, as deemed necessary and appropriate by engineering department. Is there a way that we could get a decision on that today just to settle that, or is that something that needs to be looked into?
I think without a survey in front of us, we can't, but we normally don't. I mean, I think that ends up being, it keeps getting brought up downtown, and that ends up being a standard note or a standard comment that comes in.
Okay.
And it forces us to take a pause and look at the radiuses. Most of the time, we never need or want to require additional radiuses, but there are situations whereby maybe a sidewalk is not in the right of way, maybe there should be, or a tree, or an and and an and. So I understand always the concern, but we need to get to the point we get real drawings. In all likelihood, it won't be required. And the also would probably be on the inside where we require more radiuses, not on the outside. So it's almost a moot point, but it's good to leave it in there just so that it gets addressed. Should it be an issue in reality?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wattier. Is there anyone else here to speak for this agenda item?
Fred Renfree, Downtown Mobile Alliance, 261 Dolphin Street. I'd like to affirm my support. Additionally, though, ask condition 1 be struck. It's a dead-end street that, sees less than 50 cars a day, and I think it would negatively hurt anything that could potentially happen to the site. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Renfree. Anyone else here to speak for this agenda item? Anyone here to speak against? Moving on to agenda item number 2, 551 Congress Street, Historic Mobile LLC, Congress subdivision. Tentative approval is recommended with 11 listed conditions. Applicant present? All right.
Fred Renfree, Downtown Mobile Alliance, 261 Dolphin Street. We are the property owner, and two things. The first, we have asked for it to say Historic Mobile LLC, Congress Street. Upon further consideration, we request the name be Locott Cottages. I can get with the staff department and see if that is an available subdivision name. In the second condition, I have all of the necessary paperwork from the city council's right-of-way vacation from December of 2021. So there was a complicated right-of-way vacation, taking back an old turning radius, and so I can deliver any of the appropriate paperwork where needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Renfree. Any comments from staff? Great. Anyone else here to speak for agenda item number 2, 551 Congress Street? Anyone here to speak against agenda item number 2? Agenda item number 3, 470 Schillinger Road South, Palmer's Airport Commercial Park, recommended for tentative approval with 11 listed conditions. Is the applicant present? Are you in agreement with all the, okay, come on down.
My name is Charles Tischer with Clark Gear Latham and Associates. The only thing we wanted to request was, after speaking with planning and zoning, I want to hear it says to provide adequate right-of-way along Schillinger Road and Glider Avenue. We're requesting that in lieu of dedicating additional right-of-way, that we increase the front setbacks for right now.
The
No,
right of
he's got,
way.
he combined 2 and 3.
Yep.
I'll leave it to comments for staff.
We've put forth the recommendation to get the minimum right-of-way widths as called for based on the proposed street designs, and those are what we're recommending.
So, Mr. Tischer, restate what you've got, what your request is.
So our request is, rather than dedicating the additional right-of-way right now, we would instead like to just dedicate more frontage setback, is what I'm being told we would like to do. On Schillinger and on Glider.
In case you don't know what that dimension is there an adequate survey to know what that dimension might be?
So it looks like on Glider, it's an existing 50-foot right-of-way. They want it to be 60 foot, so it would be 10 foot right there. So we would increase the setback on Glider 10 feet. On Schillinger Road, it is an existing 90 foot. They want 50 foot from the center line, so that would be an additional 5 feet on the setback along Schillinger.
I believe you're looking at the same thing along Glider.
What's that?
I believe you're looking at the same thing along
Yep.
Glider.
Yep. It looks like it's 10 feet on Glider, though, that we would have to increase it. Right, 50-foot right-of-way. 30 feet.
Doug, what's the legal difference between right-of-way and a setback? Future city planning?
Right-of-way means when they dedicate, the city owns the property. So when improvements come through, the drainage, street improvements, et cetera. The city owns the property. They do not have to purchase it. With a setback, that simply prohibits the property owner from putting a structure in that area. There's an improvement project where additional area is needed. The city will have to purchase that area.
Right, and just so everybody's got essay on this, and I ask that so we could all be tracking the same thing. This area is going to grow. It's going to continue to grow as we develop that area. So not having the ability to grow with it could be a problem in the future, is the only comment that I would make there.
I think the reason it's a common thing that's asked is because the private property owner wants to get paid. At the end of the day, he or she wants to be paid for the property, not have the property effectively dedicated to the city. So it would be wonderful from my perspective if the private property owners would recognize that and dedicate the property to the city, but that's just not the world we operate in. What will happen is if there is a capital improvement project that needs to come forward, and there's a additional setback, we have to go through the process by which to acquire it, appraise it, and then purchase the property.
Right, and right now, the stipulation that is with the staff plan is that it be a right-of-way, correct?
It'd be a
Correct.
dedicated right
Dedication.
away.
A dedicated right-of-way,
Yep.
That they effectively give the city the property.
correct. Because, I mean, if this, because I can foresee this growing, this road, et cetera, is going to expand, traffic requirements are going to expand in the future. And trying to get back to what you're saying and correct that at that point becomes extremely problematic. And it costs a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of manpower.
Yeah, it ends up being another step or another cost in the process. I am aware that the counties actually had reached out to me about a desire possibly to do a project along there to improve that stretch of Dawes Road there. So, yep.
Any further comments or questions for agenda item number 3? Anyone here in opposition to agenda item number 3? Yes, sir. Your name and address for the record.
I'm the owner of 7860 Glider Avenue and 7910 Glider Avenue. And had I known what this was about, I would have brought my lawyer, but I don't really understand how this is going to affect me.
Your comment is you don't understand how it's going to affect your
Right. My
property?
property. 7860 Glider and 7910 Glider. The north side of Glider. I'm right behind Popeye's Chicken
Okay, so you're in here.
and right next to the beauty salon.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not really sure, but which properties are yours?
Right there where his red light is, that's mine.
Okay,
And also to the right on the other, yeah, right there.
okay. All right. Essentially what we have is the property owner is taking this large tract of property
Yes.
and dividing it into 4 lots. One large lot fronting Schillinger, then 3 relative smaller lots, although quite large, 6, 2, and 1 acres, fronting along Dawes Road, this one both Dawes and Glider. Because you own property adjoining this site by state law, you have to be notified. But what this application is doing right now, it simply establishes these lot lines.
And is Thomas Avenue going to be extended to the west?
No, sir.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
I still oppose it.
Duly noted. Is anyone else here to speak against agenda item number 3, 470 Schillinger Road South? Moving on to agenda item 4, new planned unit development applications, 916 Church Street, Church and Marine Residences, recommended for approval, subject to 16 listed conditions. Is the applicant present?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if I
ma'am.
may. Staff conducted additional research. The previous application at this site was for 15 units. They were apartment buildings with 15 total units, and the commission waived the driveway width to allow 20 feet. This application is for 9 detached dwelling units, and staff would recommend that the 20-foot driveway be allowed.
Is that
And
listed?
thus,
Is that listed in conditions?
yes, that would delete condition number 5.
Margaret, a question for you. We had no findings of facts in our package here.
We'll get those for you.
Thank you. Our applicant is present. Comments or questions on the conditions? Understood. Anyone else here to speak for agenda item number 4? Anyone here to speak against agenda item number 4? Ms. Pappas, should I wait for findings of fact, or when you do that in deliberation? All right. Moving on, agenda item number 5, group application, north side of Government Street, east of South Ann Street. This is the Griffith subdivision. It has a subdivision, a PUD, and a rezone. It's been recommended for holdover until the December 15th meeting. However, it is on the agenda, and since it's on the agenda, anyone here to speak for this agenda item or against it are welcome to come down now. All right, seeing none, that closes the public hearing session. We'll go back to agenda item number 1. New subdivision application, 350 North Lawrence Street, the DeTonti Point subdivision, recommended for tentative approval with 10 listed conditions. Striking condition number 5, the applicant was present. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations, omitting condition number 5.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Number 2, 551 Congress Street, recommended for tentative approval with 11 listed conditions. The applicant was present and in agreement.
They asked for a name change. Is that something we do, or is that something that's administrative?
Have to research it. Yeah.
Okay.
Just so Mr. Renfrey hears that, name change should be fine, according to staff. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Number 3, 470 Schillinger Road South, recommended for tentative approval with 11 listed conditions.
Jay, if I may.
Please, sir.
On condition number 6, dealing with the vacation of the easements, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but the engineer contacted Nick and myself earlier this week about those, and I believe we're in agreement that those existing easements were resulting from an old plat that was not developed, and those easements don't do anything, and they can be vacated by a new plat being recorded over.
Yeah, my conclusion was they were all private easements.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure everybody was aware.
They were all private easements, so just for the record, they were all private easements, so not carrying any city facility water in it.
So does that need to change, or can it be worded the same, and then y'all can take care of that
No,
in
no,
the future, right?
no takes care of it.
Okay. So move to approve staff recommendations.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Agenda item number 4, new planned unit development application, 916 Church Street, Church and Marine Residences, recommended for approval with 16 listed conditions. Recommendation on striking number 5 from staff.
Yes, and Ms. York's going to read some recommended findings.
Ms. York?
So for the findings of fact, the proposal promotes the objective of creative design to encourage innovative and diversified design in building form and site development due to the unique design of the site. B, the proposal promotes the objective of flexibility to permit greater flexibility in the location and arrangement of buildings and uses than is generally possible under district regulations, by allowing multiple buildings on a single building site. C, the proposal promotes the objective of efficient land use to encourage the most efficient and sustainable use of land, especially in tracts in the inner part of the city that remain undeveloped or that are appropriate for redevelopment because the site is in an existing commercial area. D, the proposal promotes the objective of environment and open space to preserve and protect as urban amenities the natural features and characteristics of the land, and to encourage the provision of common open space through efficient site design because the site will comply with tree planting and landscape area requirements. And E, the proposal promotes the objective of public services to encourage optimum use of available public utilities, streets, and community facilities because the development will utilize existing public infrastructure.
After those readings of findings of fact, does the applicant have any questions? No questions from the applicant. Entertain a motion for the now 15 listed conditions after striking number 5 and the 5 listed findings of fact.
Move to approve subject to staff recommendations, omitting condition number 5 and accepting findings of fact A, B, C, and E.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Group application number 5, recommended for holdover, north side of Government Street, east of South Ann Street, the Griffith subdivision, recommended for December 15th.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion for holdover passes. Any further comments from staff? Meeting adjourned.